Hey guys, it's Lord Netsu here, and today I'm gonna do what if Deku was bound into a dire wolf. And basically, where I left off is where Deku pretty much said bye to Melissa and David Shield. And I'm gonna add something to that part. Basically, before he left, he said, if you ever want to, basically he said this before he left. If you guys want to ever visit me in the posts that I saved, going to get there by a boat that looks primitive and doesn't use any technology. And then he left. Yeah, and then we skip to the next day in the afternoon. And right after a hunt with the pack, with the 4 dire wolves. He hears splashing out in the sea, and out in the ocean, and he sees a wooden boat with a man and a girl on it, which he figures out it's Melissa and her dad. And it's like, so they did came. And then when he saw the boats, he pretty much immediately told the 4 of them what he said to the girl and the man on that boat over there. And they're like, we're not gonna trust them that much, but okay. And they're like, okay. And he's like, okay. Remember, they can't speak this language, so they won't be able to hear whatever you say correctly. And they're like, okay. And pretty much when I get there, Larka is pretty much standing at the end of the land and pretty much helps them both up off the boat. And he's like, well, welcome to the forest I live in. And since I didn't say this before, Larka's in the wolf's den is a big cave, which in the cave there's pretty much wolf-like beds for wolves, which all of them sleep in. There's a weapon shelf, basically for Zuku's weapons, which would include Excalibur, a clothing rack, which would include his clothing, and Shadows, if he went into his human form. And there's a leather rack and a wool rack. A rack for wool and leather as well. And yeah, that would be it. And yeah, Turkey only knows of the first, second, and third hero. Well, no, he knows of All Might, Endeavor, and Midnight. Yeah, he only knows of those 3. Wait, no, he knows of All Might. Wait, no, he does not know of All Might. He knows of Eraserhead, Midnight, and Nezu. I don't know. He just learned of Nezu because he knows he's the principal of the high school of UA or college, whichever you want me to have it this time. And Yeah, when Izuku helps him onto land, he's like, "Welcome to the forest I live in." And yeah, they see the four wolves behind him, and they're the normal size of a wolf, so they think they're wolves. Yeah, and they're like, and he's like, and they're like, "So these are the four?" He's like, "Yeah." And he points at basically the third oldest one, that is all black. He points at Shadow and tells him his name. He points at Moro and tells him their name, her name. He tells him pretty much all their names in order, from oldest to youngest. And yeah, Zuko's and Melissa just asks, "What's your quirk?" And he's just just shuts his mouth about that. Yeah, he'll never tell anyone that he's quirkless, or even tell anyone about his quirk or power. And David Shield just asks, How have you been able to live with these wolves?" And he's like, "It's something. It's something you learn to do when start you start helping them at the age of 4." And he's like, "Oh." And he's like, "Wait, 4?" He's like, "Yeah. I did tell you that I lived most of my life in the woods, right?" He's like, "You did say that." And before pretty much David tried to ask him about his quirk again, it just goes like, "Okay, he just tries to just change the subject by just saying, 'Hey, Melissa, what's your quirk?'" And she's like, "I'm quirkless." And Zuko's like, in his mind, he's like, "Perfect. I'm gonna say this. If pretty much any human is bound to a direwolf, if they find the perfect mate for them, pretty much one that a mate that they love and the mate loves them back and will never try to betray them in any way, will pretty much, if they find that mate, those two will pretty much live as long as a direwolf, which I'm gonna say they live for 5,000 years. Yeah, they live for 5,000 years. And the 5,000 mark is their oldest age. So yeah, and yeah, they start talking about wildlife. Oh, and okay, yeah, Suku. Well, Narka is starting to gain trust from both of them. And if I remember correctly, he's 14 now. And if I'm right about this, Melissa's 14 as well. If I'm wrong, please tell me in the comments below. When they leave, Larka tells them, you can come back anytime you want. And yeah, they leave. And pretty much, David Shield once pretty much tells Melissa that he's gonna tell All Might about this. And she was like, fuck. Because yeah, you know that the name All Might sounds like a hero name. So yeah, the moment, yeah, he's gonna move out there. He's pretty much gonna hide pretty much his family. Well, technically, yeah, his family away from the heroes. Because yeah, he doesn't want to be separated by them. No, he don't want to be separated from them. So yeah. When we get to we're gonna be at David Shield's perspective for a little bit. When they get to the island, David and Melissa separate for a little bit, and we get to David calling All Might and telling him about the situation of a little boy, and All Might being like, oh, okay, and pretty much going to that forest where exactly it is and searching for him, but he can't because, yeah, Zuko's like, guys, come on. And they're like, where are we going? We're gonna hide for probably a month or two. And they're like, where? The mountains. And they're like, okay. And pretty much they went all the way up to the tallest mountain in that area. Which, I'm gonna say the tallest part of it is in a snowy area. So pretty much no hero would be able to get up there. She pretty much took everything from the cave and brought it with them. I mean everything. So like, if Alma even looked at that cave, there would be nothing in it. It would just look like a cave that's never been touched. So yeah, and we get to a month or two later, and yeah, they can't find anything, and they leave it alone now. And yeah, after a week after the 2 months, All Might and pretty much any other hero left, pretty much the five of them went back down to, yeah, that point. Because, and remember, all the dire wolves' hearing is better than a human's and a regular wolf's. So yeah, Zuko's would be way better than his original self. And yeah, they pretty much all five of them get back down to where their den is, and Zuko puts all that stuff back to exactly where they were. And I'm gonna say this: Zuko can also, when he's in either his only when he's in his wolf form can he change his size. And I'm gonna say this just for a plot. All direwolves can also change their size into pretty much any size they want. But the direwolves only thought of their regular size as as big as they can go. But yeah, they can go even bigger than that. So yeah, and she was like, and yeah. They even thought he scared Larka away. So yeah. You can't. Melissa was sad, and David was disappointed in himself. But one night, like a night, one night, like the night after the wait they got back, CQ pretty much rushed towards that island and pretty much changed himself into a pup. Pretty much turned into his wolf form and turned himself into a size of a puppy. So yeah, he'll look like a puppy. I'll show you a version of him as a pup. This is what he looks like as a pup. Yeah. And he pretty much smelled, it was essentially to find Melissa. And yeah. And now we go to Melissa, which is laying on a chair, like those long chairs, pretty much sad. And then she sees in the distance a dog just pretty much sniffing in her direction. And then the pup pretty much runs towards her and pretty much jumps on her. And she pretty much pets it and it calms her down. And then the puppy gets off her legs and sits right beside her. Like a tad bit distance away. And then it starts growing. And then its body changes into Ezekiel. Into Larka. And she's like, Larka? It's like, yep. And she's like, where did you go? And he's like, mountains. It's like, why? It's like, because of what your dad did. And she's like, It's like, yeah, I don't want to be found. As far as I want to know, I want the world to think I'm dead. And she's like, why? And she's like, and he finally tells her his full past. Pretty much his original name and what he used to look like, and what happened for him to run away. And she was in shock and crazy sad. Yeah. And then she asks, will I ever see you again? And he's like, if you don't tell your father that I came back to my location, you can visit me anytime you want. But if you do, I'll be gone for good. And she's like, okay. And yeah, she doesn't. Because yeah, she still does want to see him. And yeah, we skip 2 months later. And Marka and Melissa become close. Close enough to, like, yeah, from acquaintances to friends to best friends. So yeah, they're both best friends now. And yeah, David hasn't suspected anything because she's been going there at night. And this is the day where, well, yeah, he will never tell anyone about his power. So yeah, he won't tell Melissa until, unless she becomes his true and only mate. He will not tell her. So yeah. And this is a day where All Might visits them. And sees how they're doing. And yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna say this. The next day after that, when Melissa came to say hi and talk to him, basically, she was like, he's during the 2 months he's been hanging out with Melissa. He's been asking himself, should I really hide myself from the world, or should I reveal myself once again? And he's like, fuck it. At the day after All Might came to see how his niece and, pretty much how Melissa and David are doing. The day after that, so he pretty much like, fuck it, and pretty much wants to show himself to the world now. So yeah, when Melissa gets there, remember, Sue's outfit is Jotaro Kujo's outfit. So yeah, even the hat, but he hasn't worn the hat until now. And she comes completely at night. And Shadow, Moro, Tala, and Lexi know pretty much. In the day, Suga just tells them, pretty much tells all four of them, I'm finally gonna show myself to the world again. And they're like, are you sure? Okay. And he's like, I'm sure. After all, I'm gonna have to show my face some way. And you're like, okay. And yeah, at night, Suga just tells, when Melissa gets there, Suga's just waiting for her. With a little bit of a sad face. Because, technically, I'm pretty sure this is in America. Well, the location of I Online is around America, so yeah. And she's like, why are you sad? It's like, I decided to show my face again. And she's like, why are you sad then? He's like, I'm leaving back on bringing my family back to Japan. And she's like, oh. And she goes like, don't worry, I'll find a way to stay in touch with you. And she's like, oh, okay. And he's like, if I can't find a way to contact you, he pretty much grabs one of his hats and goes like, he pretty much grabs one of his hats from his outfit rack and says, if I can never contact you again, have this as a reminder of our friendship. And she's like, thank you, Laka, and pretty much hugs him and starts tearing up. And he's like, don't tear up. And yeah. Now let's get to the next day, and it's Sugu gets his family ready. He's like, you guys ready? He's like, yeah, we're ready. And he's like, hold on. And he pretty much runs to an area completely, pretty much only has wildlife. That's it. A fourth near that exact city he was in when he was 4. Just a forest that has I don't know what life in it. So yeah. And he pretty much wants, and this is the time when the sludge villain attack happens. I'm just gonna say that now. And as he was walking through the town, and yeah, I'm gonna say the sludge villain was at the place where Bakugo pretty much would be. Oh, I'm gonna say this. Bakugo's pretty much since Lockout wasn't there for Bakugo's ego to go lower than it should be at its pretty much his ego now is way through the roof. It's like through the roof, so he thinks that he's the best out of everybody. So yeah. And he's almost forgotten about Arca, or he calls him deku. Or called him deku. And yeah, only for a while, Martha called Bakugo Katron. But yeah, after he started bullying him, Suga pretty much throughout the time before he ran away, he pretty much made himself forget the name Katron. He forcibly made it happen, which he can do that. And yeah. And Bakugo was caught by the sludge villain. Well, yeah. Pretty much all Might did the thing except not saving anyone. He dropped the bottle. And Bakugo got captured. And pretty much all the heroes were doing nothing. And Suga just was walking by and he smelled sludge. And he looked. And he also saw a group of people. And he looked through the crowd. And he saw a sludge villain with a person inside. And he was like, guess it's my time to shine. and he pretty much ran to a alleyway that was right next to them, and pretty much turned it into a werewolf. And yeah, his werewolf form. No, he turned it into a werewolf. Yeah, werewolf. And yeah, if I remember correctly, I made direwolves stronger than this. I'm pretty much gonna say that Suku is 2 times pretty much at All Might's prime. That's pretty much Zuku's strength, and pretty much strength, but his speed matches his strength. So yeah, in his werewolf form, no one's gonna recognize him, or even know he's human. Actually, no, he went into his wolf form for this, and he pretty much first he went into his werewolf form and pretty much climbed up the buildings in the alleyway. And when he got to the top, he turned into a wolf. And he was like, I'm ready. And pretty much jumped down right in front of all the heroes and civilians. And yeah, I'm gonna say this. He's made his bark so loud that it makes a shockwave. So yeah. And yeah, when he gets down, he pretty much growls at the sludge villain. And yeah, he is the size of an actual dire wolf. And yeah, he's growling, and then he barks, and he makes a shockwave that pretty much, and it cracks the ground below, around him. And 3-meter radius. No, 10-meter radius, yeah. It pretty much cracks the ground like that. And the sludge man's like, who the fuck is this? And Lockhart pretty much jumps toward the sludge villain. And when he gets close to the sludge villain, yeah, Bakugo's scared for his life. And then, yeah, the sludge villain sees Lockhart's mouth open wide, pretty much open. And he thinks he's going for him, but unknown to him, he's going for Bakugo. And Bakugo's like, oh, I'm dead. But then Lorca's mouth goes for Bakugo's collar. And he pretty much, and he grabbed onto Bakugo's collar with his mouth and pretty much pulled him out while he was going through the sludge villain. And then when he was done, he pretty much slid and stopped and threw Bakugo to Metal Lady. Pretty much threw his head towards Metal, pretty much tilted his head towards Metal Lady, and then let go of Bakugo. While quickly turning his head towards Mountain Lady, which threw Bakugo toward her. And then she was, in his mind, he's like, alright, werewolf form. And he pretty much, in his wolf form, he stands up, and then he pretty much turns into a werewolf, but in that size. And then he does a uppercut. And he pretty much does a shockwave. Pretty much a shockwave All Might did in that tunnel. And it destroyed pretty much splattered the sludge villain. And also knocking him out. Because his punches are way stronger than All Might's. So yeah, pretty much all the heroes are shocked even including All Might. But then, to the hero perspective, there's a wolf turned out, pretty much this thing turned back into a wolf and jumped away back to the forest. Pretty much jumped onto the building and into an alleyway, a different alleyway, and then turned back into Izuku. And he pretty much put his clothing back on. Because yeah, he took off his clothing before he even did it. So yeah, and he put the clothing back on, and he walked out. And yeah, that was on the TV as well. And pretty much everybody was wondering, who the heck was that? Or what was that? And yeah, then we skip 10 months and Izuku's body is, by the way it looks like Dante's from Demon May Cry. So yeah. And yeah, Larkart also catched up on everything he needed to know. I'm saying he's just gonna go into a library that had learning material from it, where he, from pretty much the time that he ran away to middle school, and high school. So yeah, he'll pretty much be back to be at where he was at Canon for his knowledge. And he pretty much, after the 10 months, he's like, Shadow. Yeah, after 10 months, he's like, hey, Shadow. He's like, yes, Larkart. He's like, oh, and I'm gonna say this, Larkart's body also looks like Dante when he's in the human form. And he's and now he's able to just go into his human form, no problem. And pretty much the opposite goes for Izuku, that he can easily go into his wolf and werewolf form easily now. And he's like, and Shadow goes like, yes, Larka? There's this thing called this. And yeah, Sugo also pretty much did the same thing with Shadow for his knowledge. So he's also at Izuku's, counting Izuku's knowledge of everything. Shadow's like, yes, Larka? Remember the UA thing we learned about? He's like, yes. Would you like to go to it? It's like, why not? And they go to the UA. And when they get to the entrance, they're both in their human forms with pretty much the same exact outfit. But Shadow's undershirt is blue to match his eyes. And they pretty much walk in to the school. And yeah, Larkart does not mumble. He's pretty much nothing like that we know from canon. He's a brave, smart, kind of gentleman-like, strong man. Yeah, man. Yeah. Yeah. Suku and Shadow get the same as Ken and Zuko. Pretty much just enough to pass. And then when they get to the... Oh, and Ida talks pretty much just his thing, minus what he says about deku marbling. And when Ida starts saying, well, pretty much finishes what he said, Marco's like, excuse me, sir, but I'm pretty sure he was just about to say that. So could you please be patient and wait for him to speak? And yeah, person Mike is like, thank you. It's like, Larka. It's like, thank you, Larka. And yeah, oh, and Sugu is nowhere near Bakugo. He's pretty much just standing in the corner with Shadow. And yeah, President Mike talks about the 0 pointers. And then we get to the physical part of it. And Shadow and Larka see a girl panicking. And basically, Larka quickly goes over there and pretty much he just runs over there and asks, "Why are you nervous? What's wrong?" And she's like, I'm just nervous." It's like, well, calm yourself, please. You don't want... The less nervous you are, the easier it is for you to get in. And she's like, you're right. And yeah, that helps her. And yeah, Ida couldn't even try to stop him. Pretty much, Suku and... Well, Larka and Shadow are the same strength and speed. So yeah, when the gates start opening, they pretty much both go in. And President Mike's like, what are you doing? Go, go, go. There's no countdown to a real battle. And yeah, Shadow and Larka already know that. And Shadow and Larka, when the 0 point comes out, I have more points than All Might. And when the 0 pointer gets there, yeah, it's still gonna be... Well, this time it's gonna be... No, it's still gonna be Araka. And Shadow... And both of them go like, yep. And and both of them pretty much... Shadow gets Araka out of the rubble, and Larka pretty much destroys, pretty much uppercuts the robot and makes the robot go into the sky. Oh, and the shockwave comes out of it. When the shockwave comes around, it's basically his mouth, so he can aim the shockwave. And he aims the shockwave straight at the robot that is in the sky. And when he pretty much does shockwave, it pretty much destroys the robot completely. So yeah. Oh, and yeah, that's the end of that. And then we skip 3 weeks. No, we pretty much get to... Well, pretty much we get to the end of the exam, and pretty much Nezu walks up to him and asks them, pretty much tells them what they got. Well, yeah, tells them what they got. And tells them what class they're in. And Marco's like, thank you, Nezu. And Nezu's like, oh? And he's like, you're one of the first people that consider themselves either a hero or someone that helps people become heroes. You're the first person I've known of. And Nezu's like, oh? He's like, yeah. And he's like, oh, and that all-white person I don't trust that much. And yeah, then she just walks home towards the forest. Yeah, then we skip to the first thing of UA. Shadow and Larka immediately find 1A. And they get in there. Everybody's in there. Except Araka. And then a few minutes later, well, yeah, Ida does his thing. And pretty much, Larka and Shadow just punch him in the head at the same time and go like, you idiot, do you really think we would have saw that? If you couldn't, what makes you think we could? And he's like, I don't know. He's like, exactly. And plus, I had that as a secret for a reason. And Araka will be like, what would that be? And he's like, and then they both say to see which heroes would actually, which students, well, which people that participated during in this exam would actually try to save someone. If they just let the hero points be public, everyone would be trying to do it. Just to get in. Not for anything else. And they're pretty much saying this together at the same time. And yeah. They're like, oh. And he's like, yeah. And then a minute later, Aizawa wakes up. And he's like, it took you guys 8 seconds to shut up. I'm here to teach your Aizawa Shoto. And Shiku's like, Aizawa, hey. And he's like, Eraserhead. This should be interesting. And Aizawa pretty much tells him to put these outfits on it and meet him at the training grounds. And yeah, Shiku and Charlotte just immediately do it. And go to the male's rocking room. And then when, yeah, everybody else complained about it, so I was like, you guys should be more like those two. And yeah, Balgirl's like, because yeah, he's gonna get mad. Because he does not know who got first and second place, because yeah, he got third. And when everybody got into the boys' room and girls' room, Kirishimo's, when Kirishima sees Charles in Locke's backs, he's like, "Whoa, what did you do?" And they just stay silent because they don't care about what these people think, and they don't want to be recognized by them. When Mineta does that thing, Shadow and Larka are just stare at him with pretty much stare at him with a death stare. And Mineta's like, because he would be easily scared. And then they continue. And when all of them get outside, Shadow and Larka get first and second place. Larka was first and Shadow in second. And man, gets expelled. Yeah. Then we get to the heroes versus villains. When All Might does that thing, Sugu and Shadow are not pleased at all. They're just both like, that's not how a normal person walks in. At the same time, they just say that out loud. And Sugu hasn't shown his forms yet. He's just been using his brute strength and speed. And then when we get to the fights, all the other fights are the same, except, it's okay, so, we see, for Suga's, Larka's fight, he's teamed up with Shadow, and it's Bakugo versus Ida against him. And Ida against them. And Bakugo just goes straight in because he thinks he's better than anyone. Shadow and since both of them are bounded together, they have a shared mind. Like, they have one spot in their mind where both of them can speak to each other. And basically, Larka's like, pretty much just says the plan in Shadow's head. And he's like, alright, you got it? It's like, yeah. And then both of them walk in. And when they get to a corner, they basically both have their arms up. Pretty much both of them. Shadow just gets into Marcus. Shadow put himself in a spot where Boggy can't see him, and Marcus just went straight for the corner where Boggy's gonna turn. And Boggy turns in, tries to do an explosion, but then Marcus just goes right below him. And then he does a uppercut on him. Then Shadow out of nowhere does a sledgehammer on him. And Baguio just gets slammed to the ground. And then his body floats in the air for a few seconds. And then Shadow landed on the ground before Baguio could fall back onto the ground. And then Larka and Shadow just pretty much do the or barrage, pretty much that, to Bakugo. And after a few seconds, he got knocked out when they finished. Well, stopped. And then Zhu put capture tape on him. And he's like, that was easy. And then they get to Ida. And Ida does his thing, and yeah, they're not playing around. And when the doors open, Ida goes straight for the kick. But Izuku just dodges it very, very easily. It's like slow-mo to him. Pretty much anyone that is slower than him is slow-mo to him. Yeah, basically, Shadow is his equal in power and speed. But not in skill. Because, yeah, he has one thing Shadow doesn't. That set. Pretty much that shockwave bark. In the werewolf transformation. Yeah, Ida easily gets defeated, but yeah, when Naruto knocks Ida out, Shadow touches the ball, and then after they win, All Might asks them who's it. PvP, pretty much the one that did the least amount of damage and won. And Momo would be like, that would be Marker and Shadow. And she would say why, and All Might would like, correct. And pretty much when I get into the room, pretty much every student would just ask, how did you do that? And they would just stay silent. And yeah, well, actually, only Shoto would say how you do that. And yeah, when Izuku looks at him, he just reminds him of Endeavor. And he's like, yeah, Larko just narrows his eyes towards Shoto. And yeah, his eyes start getting angry because yeah, the way he Endeavor fights, he does not like it. Not one bit. And the way he is, the way it looks like he fights, it looks like he fights aggressive. So he thinks Endeavor is aggressive. But then Lorca sees a burn mark on him, and yeah. His face goes from narrow to sad. And yeah, at the end of the day, they both just leave. And that's where I'm going to end it off. If you guys like this, like, subscribe, and comment below for more. Anyway, I'll see you guys next time. Adios.